My girls, today we are going to talk about a very interesting topic that I didn't know that you guys would want to know so much about: what I do for a living. I think probably where a lot of the questions come in are because a lot of you started following me when I was working at Google. And then you knew that I left Google and you were kind of confused as to like, girl, what the hell happened after that? So we gonna dig into my path and my track after leaving Google. We can even talk a little bit about what I used to do at Google because it really does relate to what I do now. But I think this will also help guide you a little bit on like how can I be making multiple income streams. And I'm not talking about trading, please. I am not talking about not trading stuff, please. We're not doing that. But I definitely am an advocate for girlies using corporations for what they need to, getting the hell out and getting to their own bag. And I think that's why you're also seeing that I'm able to create the content that I want. I'm able to say what I want, do what I want, talk about all of those things, dating, the ins and outs of all of that. I'm able to talk about those things because I work for myself. So let's dig right into it. Let's talk about what I do for a living. Okay, so I started out at Google lowest of the lowest level. Like they have leveling at Google from like level 2 all the way up to like level 10. I don't know what the highest level is, but the highest level is the CEO. I came in at the absolute lowest level. The only people I was above was the interns, okay? And so my job was to sell the ads that you see when you type in something on Google. So let's just say you type in shearling fur coat. I've been in the market for a fur coat, and you see those ads that are listed at the top of Google search. Your girl was the one helping the brands who are selling those products appear for the right people at the right time. So I was doing that for 3 years. I moved around a little bit during that period of time. As y'all know, I moved to Dublin. So I was in Ann Arbor, Michigan, working for the accelerated growth team, meaning I was working with a lot of startups. So I was working with Glossier when they were like Series A. I was working with Billy. I was working with like all of these amazing fashion brands that were trying to show up in more effective and efficient ways for their business as young beauty and fashion startups. So I kind of built my identity at the company based on fashion and beauty brands. So when I moved over to Dublin, I then started working with enterprise fashion brands who were doing the same exact thing, but they had a lot bigger budgets, at least at the time. So Topshop, Pretty Little Thing, ASOS, all of those sort of UK brands that are headquartered in London. I was working from Dublin, and then I would travel to London for business meetings with the brands. I was helping them with YouTube ads. I was helping them partner with creators. I was helping write briefs. I was helping run their search ads, their display ads all across the internet. My job was essentially being a digital strategist for any Google products that particular brand could want, even connecting them to the right people at Google Cloud, for example. So my job was an account manager. I did that role for about a year and a half, and then everything happened with COVID. I came back to the United States and started working with mid-level brands. So lots of different levels. I started out with accelerated growth. Those are the brands that just got a serious cash injection and are wanting to spend it in efficient ways. Then I moved all the way up to enterprise brands who have the most amount of money. The biggest brand I probably worked with was Adidas at the time. And I helped them launch the first Oswego launch. Like it was crazy. Like I was working with brands I never dreamed that I would be working with. And these were all brands that I knew I'd be able to put on my resume. So I was so excited for that. And then when I came back to the United States, I started working with kind of like the mid-market brands. Those are the folks who are a little bit more stabilized. They're not huge. They're like right in the middle, but they're not mom and pop shops. So that's brands like Reformation or who's another brand? Do you guys know the brand like Gleeman who make the like skincare? So like mid-level brands that you've heard of, but they're not massive. Anyways, I digress. I did that for another year, ended up getting promoted and moving over to the YouTube side of the business. Now, this is where a lot of y'all started to meet me. because I was now hanging out and helping your favorite creators build their content businesses. And my whole job at YouTube was to help YouTubers make more money. And at the time, TikTok had just come out and we were competing for views, honey. I'm not going to lie to you. It was very much a world where creators can spend their time, their 8-9 hours a day doing specific things. How do we convince them to spend more time making YouTube content? And YouTube content is hard to get right. Let me not lie to you. It's hard to get right because it's long form. And so at the time, I was actually at the company when we launched YouTube Shorts as well as YouTube Shopping. So that gave me so much experience, not only in helping the largest creators grow their businesses and becoming friends with them, because honestly, they're the dopest people in the world, but also learning how to launch products from a massive enterprise business like YouTube, helping them launch into alpha and beta and bringing that to creators to help them grow their businesses. That was probably the role that formed me the most and taught me the most on what I want to do with my career. I knew after that job, I am destined to work with creators, I'm destined to work with brands, and I'm destined to bring them together. Because another huge part of my job was helping pitch creators to brands for them to be able to get those larger brand partnerships on YouTube. The only other thing I'd say about my role at YouTube that I'm really proud of is that we were instrumental in getting YouTube to not just look at numbers in how you determine relevance, but also looking at the cultural relevance, impact, and influence that so many creators have that are not represented. What we found when we first started on the team, 3 Black women, we came in, everyone, white men. Like the whole team, everybody looked, the creators we were representing all looked the same and all had very similar kind of like Mr. Beastie content. And what I was really proud of is when we came in, we really started putting Black female creators like Aaliyah and Diara and Jackie at the forefront where they already deserve to be. You know what I mean? And so that was like my proudest moment at the company, where we get to choose our roster every quarter, and you have to grow that roster. Like they compare you to everybody else on the team of like, did they increase views? Did we increase average view duration? Did you increase ad revenue? You are taking a bet. A bet. For me, I'm always going to bet on Black women. I am always going to bet on Black women every single time. And so taking on an almost fully Black roster was like unprecedented. But at the same time, I was like, this is what I'm meant to do. This is truly my calling. So it wasn't a bet. It was never a bet. Like, after watching their content and seeing their relevance and how they treated they treated this as a business, I knew I was willing to put all my cards in on those creators. And I'm so happy that I did, because not only do I feel like I built real relationships with some of these creators, I also got to be a part of I got to add purpose where it wasn't just a job for me, it was a calling. But what I will say is working in diversity, equity, and inclusion is exhausting work. It is the most exhausting work that you can ever do. And a lot of times, the more purpose-filled your work is, the more you're very much unable to pull away from it. And I will definitely say, the more creators I represented that look like me, the less I was able to unplug, because it meant so much to me. Truly, it wasn't just a job. It was not just a job. It was, I would be up at 2:00 in the morning, like sending content ideas and like pitching to brands. You should work with, Aaliyah on Nike. You should work with Jackie, Google, like Google Home. You need to work with Jackie. All these things. Like, that was my job, but it very quickly became more than just a job. And I think that is a very good thing, because you feel purpose in your work, but it also led to me not being able to separate myself from my job at all whatsoever. So those are the trade-offs. But also, looking back, I never would have done anything differently. I truly never would have done one thing differently in the way that I handled redefining Black women as top creators at YouTube. So that was my time at YouTube. The hardest part about working at a massive company is that they move slow. They are like, I think a lot of people are like, oh yeah, like Google that started in a garage. It has become such a massive company that a lot of times when you're ready to move up and you're ready to take on more responsibility, more leadership, make more money, that is a very, very difficult, but also long task. It takes a lot of waiting. And I was ready to make more money now, but also make more impact now. So I decided to move to a startup where I was basically a startup called Howl, where I was leading the charge on our affiliate marketing business. So what that means is, how do we compete with LTK? How do we compete with ShopMy? How do we compete with Collective Voice for creators to be using our links instead of their links? And so it was my role to specifically find fashion and beauty creators, to partner with brands like Nike, to partner with brands like Samsung, to partner with all of these large brands that are trying to make a positive return on ad spend, finding the right creators at the right time and bringing them together, just like my job at Google and just like my job at YouTube. So you're kind of seeing a pattern here. From there, I spent about a year and a half at the company. Guys, I think we like romanticize startup worlds. It is not for the weak. We can jump into like what it was like working and leading at a startup, because by the time I left there, I was head of creator partnerships. It was my first ever head of role. I was leading a team. It was like a very big deal for me in my career. But what I realized is I was taking on so much and doing so much. I couldn't take it anymore. And I decided to leave the company. That was a very big choice for me and my own personal health. Startup life is rough. But it taught me a lot. It taught me how to walk into an organization where everything isn't already set up for you, like Google and like YouTube, where there's a person for everything. There's a product manager for this. There's an engineer for that. There's a this for that. It taught me how to come into a space with zero structure and build that structure and operationalize it. And I needed that. I needed to learn how to do that. So that was the biggest lesson that I took away from that, as well as how to really eat, live, and breathe affiliate marketing. I love helping people shop. I love helping creators help people shop. I think shopping can be the funnest thing in the world, but it's also the most overwhelming thing in the entire world. And so for me, after I left Howl, I realized, one, I have a talent at this and I should really lean into it. I love shopping. I love finding deals. I know I have a following that loves shopping and loves finding deals. Why don't I help them do that? And then I also realized creators don't know how to run their affiliate businesses as effectively as they should. And I should be a consultant for them. So some of the biggest creators that you know, I am working with on a consultant basis to essentially build out their affiliate strategy. And for some creators, actually execute that strategy. Like, I'm logged into their accounts posting every single day. So for some creators, I'm deeply leaned in. For other creators, I more so provide like templates. I provide strategy, where they should focus for, that particular quarter or that particular month. That's what I do now. So I'd say like 60-70% of my income comes from consulting creators on how to build their affiliate business. And then the other like 30 to 40% come from my own content business, aka helping you guys in my audience and in my community shop. I think a lot of folks think like there's no money in affiliate, like it's pennies. And I can understand why it gets a bad rap, because like truly there are some commission rates where you're like, why did I even spend my time doing this for $2.83? You know what I'm saying? But my job, as I'm helping creators get a positive return on investment of their time, is to make sure that they're linking the products that are actually going to give them the biggest return, so that they're not spending their time like making content that isn't going to make them any money. So as I'm teaching creators how to do that, I'm like, well, why don't I do that in my own content business? why don't I build my own affiliate business? And so what I found is that as I was navigating in February of 2025, as I was navigating dating as a 32-year-old woman and really building an audience, that's when I realized I can do both things. I can talk about dating, which I think a lot of women are really interested in. But I can also talk about shopping, which I'm really interested in, and a lot of my audience is very interested in. I have so many recommendations for creators who are starting out. Like when I first started really being consistent, aka posting a reel a day in February, I was at like 7,000 followers. I'm now almost at 25,000. So I have a lot of recommendations for people on how they can grow both their content businesses but also their affiliate businesses. It's not easy. It's not easy at all, but there is a playbook to these things, and I've been thinking a lot about like what would it be like to build a course and like help the girlies make a second income, like pay their rent with affiliate money, which is totally possible. Like that's the lowest bar. But that's all in a nutshell what I do. I am a creator consultant. My largest client brought me on in a much higher capacity. So I spend a lot of my time with that one client. And then I have a couple other clients on the side that I assist and help with. And then the other part is my content business, which is growing incrementally month over month, which I'm very, very excited about. And I'm, one day in hopes in a couple of years would love to be able to, if I wanted to, only do, my own content and be a full content creator. But that is not where I want to be right now. I think the market is just in such an insane place, and I don't like the pressure. I think it's fun right now. I think creating content and talking about dating and giving shopping advice and showing what I'm buying is really fun. When you make it a full-time job, it becomes less fun. When you start depending on it, it it becomes something that you have to get right rather than something that like gives you energy. And right now, helping you guys shop and creating content around shopping makes me happy. I don't want to do anything more than that. So the consultant piece of it, helping other creators who already have full content businesses, makes me really, really happy. Like I love the work that I do, but I only could have done this. I only could have done this had I had the experiences from previous companies like Google, like YouTube, even Howl, who really, really threw me into the world of affiliate marketing. So that's what I do. I hope that gives you an idea of like how I afford my lifestyle. I think that's the number one thing. You guys see me like buying literally whatever I want, and you're like, how does she do that? But I also want to remind you that like I was at Google for 7, almost 8 years. Like the salary was never the biggest thing. It was GSUs, the restricted stock units that vest over 4 years. So you can literally, like, if you play it right, you can truly leave Google with hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank, similar to what I did, and not have to worry as much when it comes to like your next gig. I was very excited about Howl because the pay was very, very strong from a base salary perspective. Of course, from a stock perspective, the company's not gone public. It's not necessarily worth anything yet, but you believe in the vision and you believe in, the fact that like this company is eventually going to be something. So, what you don't get in, stock units, you're getting in salary, which I would say my highest salary that I ever had was at that particular startup. But you are going to work for every freaking penny. That's what I have to say about startups. You're going to work for every freaking penny, 16-hour days. Like you will work for every penny that they are paying you, especially if you're in leadership. It's not like a cushy, like I'm just going to sit at home and chill vibe. Like it's not that at all. So that's everything. I hope this was helpful. I'm happy to answer questions. If you think a course on affiliate marketing would be helpful, I'm happy to provide that. Well, I'm happy to not just provide it, but think about building that out and put more thought and effort into building something concrete out for you. Of course, it would be a paid course because knowledge isn't free. But what I can promise is that when you follow the steps that I've given you, you will you will make far more than whatever it is I charge for the course. So the ROI will be there. Um yeah, I think that's everything. I think the last thing I would say is that I am very focused on diversifying my content business. It's I make the majority of my money from Instagram, but I think it's very important to not rely on just one platform, especially when that platform is algorithmic, meaning it's based on an algorithm, meaning they can decide tomorrow, we're just not going to show Danielle's content anymore. And then what would I do? I always want to have a backup plan. So there are very specific ways that I am diversifying my content business to ensure longevity and to also increase my bottom line. So that's YouTube, that's Substack, that's all of these things. Anyway, I eat, live, breathe these things. Like I have like news alerts set up for everything related to the creator economy and platforms and changes and product updates and all of that because I eat, live, and breathe this. And I have for the last decade, pretty much since I graduated college. Now, I've been very just deeply, deeply invested in tech and tech platforms. So, yeah, that's me. Once again, I'll be in the comments answering questions if you have them. Bye, y'all.